Are the Steelers ever going to finish below 500? Probably not, but will they make the postseason? That's the bigger question. We'll find out in this Pittsburgh Steelers 2023 season outlook. Hello and welcome to the Cut to the Chase Sports Podcast. I'm Chase Yance. Tonight we're going to be continuing our series with the AFC North, all the teams that I hate, except my team. We're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, who was number one on my hate list, but I'll still give a fair and positive analysis about them. When looking at them from last year in 2022, finished 9-8. They started 2-6, wrote the ship, went 7-2 down the stretch. Their defense started playing really well. They played well the whole season, but they had a lot of quarterback questions throughout the first half of the season with Kenny Pickett, and he had to get his footing in. But the defense started playing really well in the second half of the season. Kenny Pickett started to find his way. TJ Watt came back from injury, and they made life tough on a lot of teams. The emergence of George Pickens, Deontay Johnson wasn't bad. Najee Harris still had 1,000 yards. They had one of the best pass rushes in the National Football League. Alex Highsmith was great. There's a lot of good things from Pittsburgh, as there are every single year. They just didn't get over that hump to make the playoffs, but they still finished 9-8 in a year where they were projected to be at the bottom of the barrel in the division. So we'll take a look at some of the adds and losses that Pittsburgh made and see what they're going to be taking in this year. So the Steelers lose Cam Sutton to the Detroit Lions, Devin Bush to the Seahawks, and Terrell Edmonds to the Philadelphia Eagles. But then you add Isaac Seumalo from the Eagles, who's a guard. You add Allen Robinson, the second from the Rams at wideout. Cole Holcomb becomes a linebacker from Washington, as well as a Landon Roberts from the Dolphins, who I think was a really sneaky pickup. And then in the secondary, Patrick Peterson, the legend from the 2011 draft class, who's still playing at a very high level, goes into the Pittsburgh Steelers secondary room as ultra talented. And that's going to be really dynamic to see what they're able to do this year. Matt Canada is the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And personally, I love him. Pittsburgh fans hate him. Do the math there. But it's a new year for the Pittsburgh Steelers on offense. And Kenny Pickett last year, 63% completion percentage, 2,404 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and a 76.7 passer rating. Not the best of rookie seasons. It was a really weird one, to say the least. But hopefully with Canada maybe being able to evolve a bit and Kenny Pickett getting a bit more accurate and all this other stuff, maybe he can make those necessary leaps for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Down to their running back, Najee Harris at 272 attempts, 1,034 yards, 7 touchdowns, 41 receptions out of the backfield. They're still going to look for him to run the football a lot this year, especially under a revamped offensive line that we'll talk about in just a second. Deontay Johnson, 86 catches, 882 yards. He actually has the most catches in a season without a touchdown. He had no touchdowns last year. That's incredible. He averaged 10 yards a catch on 86 of them, had no touchdowns. A guy that did get in the end zone 4 times more than Deontay Johnson was the rookie George Pickens, 52 catches, 801 yards, 4 touchdowns. He made some freaky catches almost every week he did. He made one against the Browns. He made a couple in some other games that they're just a blur for me. But, George Pickens, really good receiver over there in Pittsburgh. Allen Robinson, the second. Matt Stafford just didn't target him for some reason. Allen Robinson wasn't really getting open, and then Cooper Kupp wasn't on the field for Matt Stafford, so that kind of eliminated all of his options. But Allen Robinson, 33 catches, 339 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's hoping for a bounce back and get a connection with the young quarterback in Kenny Pickett. Pat Freiermuth, the tight end, 63 catches, 732 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Pat, he's one of the best young tight ends in the National Football League, and I'm really excited to see what he's able to do. He's going to earn that status of everybody yelling Heath in the stands. They're going to go move, like they've done it before. So, Pat Freiermuth is just going to keep coming into his own and then maybe score some more touchdowns for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't want that to happen, but, obviously, Pittsburgh Steelers are a good team. On the offensive line, they add Broderick Jones from Georgia. Add him in the first round. They go down the side. You got Isaac Seumalo from the Philadelphia Eagles. They still have Mason Cole, James Daniels, and Chukwuma Okorafor. They got those guys over there. Their offensive line is getting better, so hopefully they're going to be able to run the football more effectively and then do a lot of play action and have Kenny Pickett have some easy reads down the field to some more wide open wide receivers. So that's the look for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. Actually, I think the only question for this defense would be, are they going to be the best? And my answer would be, there's a good chance. Look at their defensive line. Larry Ogunjobi had 48 tackles, a sack and a half. Cam Hayward, the aging vet from Ohio State, 74 tackles, 10 and a half sacks as a down lineman and a forced fumble. And then they drafted Keanu Benton in the second round, pick 49. Go to linebackers. Like I said, new linebacking core in the interior, Cole Holcomb, and then you got Landon Roberts. That's a good duo right there. Landon Roberts, 107 tackles and 4.5 sacks from the interior linebacker position. And then you look on the edges. This is where the Pittsburgh Steelers, in the pass rush, they make their money's worth. TJ Watt, he got hurt last year. He had 39 tackles, 5.5 sacks, a forced fumble, 2 interceptions. A lot of that was against the Bengals. He did a really good job against them. But I will say this, though. TJ Watt, he's obviously in this class of ridiculous pass rushers where you have Myles Garrett, you got Micah Parsons, Nick Bosa. He's a top 4 pass rusher. He almost broke the sack record. He was right there at 22 sacks in 2021. The man gets after the quarterback. He's super athletic, so versatile. That's one guy that you have to absolutely game plan for when you're talking about an offense. And it's not just, we got to, annex him on pass rush. You got to talk about in the pass game. He will drop back in coverage and intercept the passes and take them for pick sixes. He's a great pass rusher, but even, he's a really good coverage linebacker as well. The other guy, Alex Highsmith, who just got a contract extension, 14 and a half sacks on 63 tackles and 5 forced fumbles. Do not let this guy unnoticed. I mean, he did, he picked up a lot of the stuff that TJ Watt wasn't able to do last year while he was hurt. But Alex Highsmith had a great season. He's going to be in for another big one, especially coming off that contract. Their secondary, Joey Porter Jr., playing in his father's lineage of the Pittsburgh Steeler, the second round pick of, pick 1 on day 2. He's got some big shoes to fill, but, obviously excited to see what he's able to do. DeMonta Kazee had strong safety. He, had 20 tackles, 2 interceptions last year, but then obviously Minkah Fitzpatrick, one of the best free safeties in the National Football League, 96 tackles, 6 interceptions, 11 passes defended. Minkah's all over the field. He's a jackrabbit of the defense, quarterback of the defense, whatever name you want to call him, man. He's all over the place. He is the ball hawk of the Pittsburgh Steelers secondary and embodies everything that you want from them. Levi Wallace at corner, 48 tackles, 4 interceptions, 13 passes defended. And then you got Patrick Peterson, who's probably going to play a bit more nickel, like 66 tackles, 5 interceptions, 15 passes defended. This is going to be one of the hardest units to throw the football on when you're talking about the pass rush and you're talking about the guys on the back end. This might be the best combination of edge rushers compared with the corners. It's going to be very, very tough to throw deep or throw anywhere on the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. So the Steelers have 4 night games. They play week 2 against the Cleveland Browns on Monday Night Football at home on a doubleheader. They play Sunday Night Football against the Las Vegas Raiders in week 3. Then you look down the line, they play 2 Thursday Night Football games. They host both of them. They host the Tennessee Titans in week 9 on Prime Video, and then later on in the season they host the New England Patriots Thursday Night Football on Prime Video. And then they have a 4:30 nationally televised Saturday game, Week 16 against the Cincinnati Bengals at Acrisure Stadium. Looking at the Steelers, when we're looking at like an early season opponent that we're looking at, looking forward to, it goes to the Las Vegas Raiders, actually. The Steelers start off 2 home games for the first time in I don't know how many years. They're going to play their first road game. It's going to be a Sunday Night Football game. There's going to be a lot of media coverage, obviously the national television attention that the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're used to it. They really are. They're going to go into Vegas, who has a lot of questions on both sides of the football. And if Pittsburgh can go in there and get a win, that could really set them up for some potential success this season going into October. Their Week 1 opponent, the San Francisco 49ers, they don't know what's going to happen at quarterback. It's probably going to end up being Brock Purdy. But, the way that they have to beat San Francisco is they just got to disrupt the system of Kyle Shanahan. Easier said than done, but they just got to find ways. They got to create turnovers, and then they got to protect the football themselves and run the football and really limit time of possession on the 49ers' hand. So it's going to be an absolute chess match. That's really what's going to be in that Week 1 matchup, September 10th, 1 o'clock on Fox. Season outlook, record prediction, whatever. The Steelers, I have a hard time saying it. As a Bengals fan, they are again not finishing below 500. They're going to finish right again at 9-8. They have a very good roster. Their defense is going to win them quite a few games. I think their offense is going to take a couple steps up. I know it's weird because you're like, oh, that means that they would win 11 or 12 games. Now I think it's going to be nine games because, some of the guys they play on their scheduled, some playoff teams here and there. It's not necessarily an easier schedule this year. Obviously, they play the Niners right off the bat and the Seahawks later in the season, like all that stuff. But I do think Pittsburgh is going to take steps in the categories that they needed improvement on from last year. But I think it'll still all play out to be 9-8, and everybody's going to call them absolutely mid.